One of my favorite things about picking herbs, like basil, is the way your hands smell afterwards. The pungent scent often stays on your fingers even after washing them, especially with thyme, I found, which is one of my all-time favorite herb scents. It's so... I don't even know how to describe it, but it reminds me of very delicious Italian food when I'm hungry. And when I'm not, like a meadow on a summer's day, on a hot summer's day. Yeah. This year we also planted sage, which will be a nice addition to the rest of the herbs that we dry for winter and also use fresh for various types of dishes. As a kid, going to the forest to pick mushrooms in the end of the summer was a ritualistic practice in my household. I enjoyed it much more than berry picking because it involved more walking and looking around. And when you found an edible mushroom, especially a penny bun, then there was so much excitement over that fact. With that practice, I learned which mushrooms are edible, which I shouldn't touch ever, and most importantly, which are tastier than others. And a little bit later, I also learned that for some people, certain mushrooms I wouldn't touch are considered edible, and also that my taste buds are quite picky in regards which mushrooms I consider to be tasty and which not so much. But regardless of the taste, I like picking all of them. I find the forest to be a magical place where so many different and absolutely beautiful life forms coexist. And that coexistence, regardless if it's beneficial on both sides or not, creates this universe of endless variations of forms and colors. And it's absolutely fascinating to me how one type of forest merges with another type in this sort of like an artistic continuum. I decided to make some dumplings with potatoes and mushrooms from the forest, and I don't know if it's due to my ancestry or because I really like anything that has some sort of a dough in it, but I really like dumplings. And the truth is, it's not as hard as it seems to make them yourself at home. I started by making the filling, so I cooked some finely chopped mushrooms with garlic in a little bit of oil. I didn't use a lot of mushrooms just because I want the base to be mainly potatoes, so I boiled them in some salt water. But as you can imagine, you can make your filling as personalized and elaborate as you wish, so there are really endless possibilities to be creative there. For the dough, I mixed some flour, water, a little bit of salt, and olive oil. And honestly, I just eyeballed all the amounts, and I just made sure that after mixing and kneading the dough, it wasn't too dry or sticky. And I let it rest a little bit whilst I finished up with the filling, so I just mashed the potatoes and mixed in the mushrooms. have this dumpling making mode, which makes the whole dumpling making process pretty much effortless. So all it takes is to roll out the little pieces of dough and make sure that the diameter of these pieces fits the mold. Then you just put in the filling and close it, and that's it. And as Russians say, первый блин комом, which means that your first pancake, in this case dumpling, will turn out not as great, but then you just improve and work on the parts which didn't go as expected the first time. For me, it was too much dough and too much filling and no flour on the mold, which made it stick to the mold, so I fixed that. I imagine that here you can say that this activity would be perfect to do with kids, and that's really true, but honestly I think this would be a great activity for anybody, so I really recommend trying to make dumplings at home. When I was finished, I put mine in the freezer for an hour or so, but I don't really think that's necessary. I just had some time until dinner time. I usually boil my dumplings until they float up to the top and make sure that I stir them from time to time because they have the tendency to stick to the bottom of the pan. And that's pretty much it. I had mine with some squash sauce, but they're really flavorful just by themselves too, so I really recommend, as you haven't noticed already.